Okay.
All right. So welcome everybody to Godways International Ministry. My name is Shegun Fashola, and I'm going to be your moderator today. The event is about how to swim in turbulent waters in this real estate market that we're in. I'm the head of the education department of Godways International Ministry, the Toronto campus. Godways International Ministry has a lot of campuses around the world. We have in Toronto, we have in Atlanta, we have in the UK, we have in Nigeria, in Abuja, we have all over the world, and we're growing very fast in different places around the world. So what we do at Godways International Ministry is to bring people to Christ. I'm going to let Reverend shortly speak about that and what our vision and our mission is as a church. But as part of the education department, what we do is to elevate people in different career paths and different career opportunities that are around them to be able to earn and be able to support their family, friends, and charity as it is. We in Godways Ministry, we also have various charities. We do various events that we help people. We have the Widows Initiative. We have Charity for All. We have the Diamond Awards, where we recognize people in our community, people that are performing excellently well in our various communities, which is coming up in August. So we're looking to have a lot of people come through, and it's going to be in Toronto. So we do a lot of things to bring people to Christ, which is our primary goal. And today we're going to be hosting this event. We're going to have professionals in their own field, in their capacity, to speak about the real estate market as it is, and the various opportunities that we have for those who think that there's no opportunities. But you know that in every situation, whether good or bad, there's always opportunities. And this is where these professionals are going to be able to communicate and let us know the opportunities that are available to us and how we can navigate, or basically be able to swim and not sink in these turbulent waters, because it's really turbulent right now. And by the grace of God, with the information we're going to gather today, God is going to help us through. So before we go ahead, I would like to invite our Reverend Chooks Okoye, who's going to be praying for us and also telling us a little bit about Godways Ministry before we jumpstart the event. Reverend Chooks, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the introduction and for setting up this program. That's what we are, and that's what we stand for. We believe in educating not just the spirit, but the mind as well, the brain. We want the complete wholeness of human capabilities to manifest in the affairs of every individual. And that's what Godways aim to do. We have this as part of our education initiative. As already been said by Shego, we have so many other activities that we do to engage the community, engage the individual, and promote the talent and the gifts God has given us and given you. And everyone got something to take away from this particular program, because whether you're already an investor, or you are about to invest, or you haven't bought your first property, or you bought the first one and you want to buy another one, the climate may be looking inhibitive, but we believe that we serve a God of miracle, and we serve a God that has no impossibility in the realm of things. And even in the storm, there is the God of the storm inside the storm, and he makes a way even in the midst of the storm. So we want to bring this information through the experts, that even in this real estate turbulence, there are still ways to swim and get to the shore. And we want to encourage us not to be frustrated or suffocated by this situation that now seems to be prevalent because of changes in interest rate and other dynamics. So that as part of our plan, we're going to be praying that God who blesses the plan of humanity will bless us when our heart grows bold and strong and willing to take the step amidst a turbulent water. Because there are always going to be those evidence of the hand of the enemy, which is predicated in the fear that he brings inside of us. But this information, we hope, will populate the mind of people and fortify your heart into bravery and know that, yes, the water may be turbulent, yes, the climate may be cloudy, but you have a God who makes a way even in the wilderness. And that way we will become more than conquerors. I know we have a lot to cover. I'm not going to go into all the other activities of Godways Ministry, but I can only say connect with us and connect with the leaders. You're going to know a lot more. This year we have a couple of events coming up in Canada area. We have the Black Diamond Award coming up in August. This is an award where we recognize people who has prevailed over challenges and turbulence in their life through God-given strength, not just the height you attained, where after knowing what pushbacks you had and how you overcame the pushback. Very often the society wants to recognize people at the top, and nobody knows what people who did not get to the top had to go through to get to where they got to. Because if they had similar opportunities as those who got to the top, they probably will exceed the top. That's the philosophy behind that initiative. We did it last year. It was successful, and we're planning it on the 11th of August. I want to throw it out there so that if you have people to nominate, you can actually nominate them by sending their name to and contact to godwayministry@gmail.com, or you can go to blackdiamondawards.com. You're going to be able to see at the website the nomination form, blackdiamondawards.com. You're going to see the website and you see the information to nominate yourself. You can nominate yourself or nominate somebody else. And as well, you can help recognize somebody in the community who has been very helpful. The whole idea behind this concept, this project, to create among us a lot of role model, so that when the young ones are busy twisting and turning and thinking, oh, I stepped in the mud today, I'm not walking again, they will see somebody who has had a bath with mud and still looking clean and still standing and still going and did not give up. And they will warn themselves that I haven't even started. If this guy could get to where he got to despite the challenges he has gone through, then I had to roll my sleeve. That's the whole idea, because in due course, we're going to begin to assemble the recipient as role model for people in the community, in our community, to be able to learn from their story and get strengthened from their story. Of course, we have the party in the park, a fun event where you're going to come and celebrate God's love and share God's love with people. And many others. I can't go through all of them, but I'm going to say a prayer so that we can now start in earnest. The experts are waiting. I see them prepared. I see them ready. I see them kitted. I see them poised to give you what you need to excel in today's market. Because tomorrow market may be different, but today's market, they're gonna prepare you. If you can swim in the storm, how much more when the water is not turbulent? So in a sense, this is not just for this market, this is for all season, because it probably doesn't get worse than this. But somehow, if you get the key of the message they got today, you will be cruising when the storm is over. So this is a time now we're going to say a prayer and call on God who blesses every plan to step in. Let us pray. In Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for laying in our heart the need to educate ourselves. We learn from you, O Lord, that even after you have done all miracles, you take the apostles inside the room, you educate them, they ask questions, what does this parable mean? And you begin to tell them and teach them. Father, we are in that realm where we're teaching how to survive in the world you've given us and prevail despite the challenges and downturn of economy in many economies. We know that you have the secret place where you make things manifest. We know that you know not only the fish that got money in his mouth, but you know when that fish will come on the surface. And in this time, oh Lord, we pray that you will help us to navigate every information that will be shared today and give your people the ability to retain them and to work with them, open our mind to receive. May we not lose that information that will help us excel. Prepare us, O Lord, to be in your place of miracle and guide us, O Lord, in the vicinity of your favor, so that at all time we will have reasons to glorify your name. Father, take all the glory. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend Chuks Okoye, for sharing the vision of the church and also praying for us today. So we got the structure of the event today. We're going to have two guest speakers. We're going to have Mr. Folu Akinduni speaking from a real estate perspective, like as a real estate agent. And we're going to also have Paul Amusu, who will be speaking as a mortgage advisor. They're going to each have about 30 minutes to speak and share their PowerPoint presentation with us. And after that, we're going to then have questions and answers. I know a lot of us are going to have questions after these presentations, and we will be collecting those questions, and we will be having some sort of a roundtable where you can get the questions being responded to as live before the event. And you can also get the contacts of the guest speakers afterwards and reach out to them to get more information, because it's a lot of information that cannot be communicated within 30 minutes or within just these 2 hours of this event. So that being said, our first guest speaker for today, Mr. Folu Akinduni, is an accomplished real estate agent, an investor and consultant with experience in pre-construction sales, resale properties, and real estate investments. Folu has become a trusted advisor to clients seeking to use real estate as an effective tool to grow wealth and achieve financial security for themselves and their families. His personalized approach, deep industry knowledge, and dedication to helping his clients create lasting wealth make Folu an excellent partner for all your real estate needs. I'd like to bring Folu Akinduni to the floor to share his wealth of experience and be able to answer any questions as we get to that point in the event. Folu, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Segun, for the introduction. I am very grateful to be here today. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know if you're able to see it here, okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Fantastic, okay. Do you still see my screen? It's saying that it's paused.
We can see the first slide.
Okay, the full screen of the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Thank you again for having me here today. I'm sure a lot of us, between the news and talking to friends, talking to family, the subject of real estate has most likely come up, whether it's interest rates or prices or even the rental market. Most of us have had had some kind of conversation about one of these topics at some point in time. Are you able to see the next screen?
No.
Okay.
It's kind of is it frozen?
Okay. Let's see what's happening here. You're able to see? Okay, fantastic. Okay. So I'll briefly talk about current market conditions, and I'll do my best not to throw too much stats at you guys. Just to keep it, just a very high level thing here. So the market constantly is changing, and it's very important to stay up to date on latest trends and conditions. So first, let's talk about inflation. Inflation is the rate at which prices of goods and services increase. And what happens is it decreases the value of your dollars. So your dollars is able to buy less and less over time. This also leads to higher interest rates, impacting your ability to borrow money. Now, the impact of COVID-19 caused inflation to rise higher, which caused everything to essentially increase all across the board. And I'm sure you've been to your grocery stores as well. So because of this, Bank of Canada, they like to keep their target rates at between 1% to 3%. But as of June of 2022 of last year, the highest the inflation got was 8.1. And that's the reason why there was the aggressive rate hikes that we had seen in the market. It was the Bank of Canada's attempt to cool the market. Now, at this point, it's currently at 4.3. So when it comes to buyer and seller sentiment, a lot of people had thought that there would be a crash in home prices. There were a lot of people who were trying to put offers on homes, but they were being outbid multiple times. So it was very frustrating for a lot of buyers. So when the rates were aggressively being increased by Bank of Canada, a lot of people did think that there would be a crash in home prices and more homes would be going onto the market, but it didn't happen. So on the buyer side, what was happening was that they were getting qualified for smaller amounts due to higher interest rates. So they couldn't buy the houses that they wanted. So what in essence happened was they had no choice but to get into the rental market and compete with people who would otherwise be regular renters. So this, of course, put an upward pressure on rental prices, and rental prices in Toronto alone was doing about 23% year over year. On the seller side, sellers decided, a lot of them didn't want to put their houses on the market if they weren't going to get the prices that they wanted for their homes. And with the rental market being so hot, what a lot of sellers did was put their homes on the market on the rental side to be able to capture the higher rent rates to help them with the higher price in the mortgage costs. So prices didn't come down as much as what people thought, because we also had another problem with housing shortages. So the demand was far outweighed by what was available in the supply. So we have a shortage of homes. And Canada has an aggressive immigration plan of bringing in about 1.5 million people by 2025. So what this would do is, we still don't have enough homes for the people that we currently have right now, and adding another 1.5 million people to the market that will obviously be looking for housing, this will in turn eventually put more pressure on prices and pushing prices higher. So with that being said, though, this does create a lot of opportunity, and it's not something that people should be scared about, or because or think that it's doomsday, right? Because there's whatever market it is, whether it's up or down, there's always some type of opportunity to be had there. Now, the reasons I got into real estate myself is I believe real estate is one of the best tools to create wealth for yourself as well as your family. And having a long-term view on real estate is very beneficial, because real estate is a slow-moving asset. We've just been spoiled over the past decade or so with almost double-digit increases every single year. But if you have a long-term view on the market as a whole when it comes to purchasing real estate, you will come out on top. You'll do well, because what's important when it comes to that is the time that you spend in the market is better than trying to time the market. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, so you need to have a plan, and you need to essentially spend time in the market. Historically, real estate prices continues to go up, and the best strategy is to buy and hold for the long term. The only time that you would lose is if there is a downturn in the market, and that's the time that you decide to sell. Of course, you would also partake in that loss as well. So it's always better to buy and hold. You can't outsave the market with inflation, because your money will buy less and less over time. So it's best to get into the market as soon as possible rather than waiting. When you decide to get into the market, you want to do it safely. And what I mean by that is, since we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you want to mitigate your risks as much as possible. How do you do that? You need to plan ahead. The first step would be to speak with a mortgage professional or a real estate professional. That would be your first step. You will eventually need an accountant and a lawyer later down, but in the first step is for you to speak with your mortgage professional first, as well as your real estate professional. Your mortgage professional will assess where you are financially and determine how much financing you can get to purchase a home. And a real estate professional will be able to provide you with expert advice and guidance in order to set you up for success. Another way to mitigate risk is to purchase in areas with good fundamentals. What I mean by that is areas with good transit infrastructure, areas that's close by to big box stores like Walmart's, Costco's, Home Depot, just to name a few, as well as restaurants and shops around. I like to purchase in areas where there are Starbucks, and the reason why I do this is because these are large corporations. They have the resources. They have the resources to do their due diligence before they move into a location. When they move into a location, they're there for the long term. So they have a lot of resources behind them that will study an area, do their due diligence before they start investing capital into constructing buildings for their stores or their shops. Another good fundamental is areas with low vacancies. You don't want to purchase an area where no one wants to rent or buy. You also want to be in an area with good and healthy job growth as well as population growth. Areas with post-secondary education, university or colleges nearby are good because it will give you the tenant on the rental side of the students. A lot of the universities and colleges don't have enough housing to house their students, so they essentially will rent from an area that's close to where they go to school or where there's transit. If you're on the if you're looking on the pre-construction side, it's always a good idea to go with developers with experience, a lot of experience, and strong financial backing, right? Because that will let you know that they're less likely to cancel projects on you, and they will finish their projects on time. So there are several options for you to get into the market. Times have changed, so we do need to change with times as well. Even from 10, 20, even 40 years ago, you have times when you could go to school, you get a job, and you can buy a house, a detached house in an area that you like with a one-income house. But in this current climate, that's usually not the case. So what happens is, people first go to their family or friends, right? That's how most people are getting into the market. A lot of people use the bank of mom and dad, right? They've been helping a lot of the younger generations to be able to buy their first homes. Joint venture is also a great option. What I mean by that is partnering up with friends or business partners to combine your resources. So if a couple of people have great jobs and you're the one with fantastic credit, come together and make something happen. Lease to owns it's not a new concept, but with the current climate, you're starting to see more of that happening because it allows you to be able to rent a property and then purchase, and then essentially having an agreement to purchase at a later date. Your rent will be higher than market rents because a portion of it will be going towards your down payment that you'll be putting down at an agreed upon time in the future. You also have investment companies coming out now with creative solutions to help people come up with down payments to be able to get into the market. Now, on the pre-construction side, you do have developers because of the rising interest rates and people being on the sidelines. Developers have come out with great incentives that I haven't seen a lot in a while. I would say the last time I saw this, I would say like 2008, 2009. I'll go through some of the incentives that they are offering. You have your standard lease during occupancy, development caps, things like that. But what some developers have done is cut down the down payment that you need to put down from usually, like, let's say 20%. You'll have some developers asking for 15 or maybe even 10%. They're also providing cash back or credit on closing, which you haven't seen in a very long time. You have the government programs as well, which is, for example, the first-time home buyer incentive program is a program that the federal government came out with in September of 2019 to help individuals to get into the market by helping them with the deposit, with the down payment. Because this was a federal program, it wasn't a huge success because in markets like Toronto or Vancouver, it didn't really make sense because of the property prices. So at the end of the day, you were probably getting qualified for $400,000 or so. But it is still a program that is in place, and you also have companies that private companies that are also coming up with their own programs as well. And I'll actually go through some of this in a few slides moving forward as well. Now, one of the things I mentioned were developers having incentive programs. So Emblem Developments is one of these developers. The reason why I like Emblem is because they are backed financially. The development company is actually a arm of First Avenue Investment Council, which manages the wealth of the wealthiest families in all of Canada. So that investment company is what backs their development. So you can be confident that they're going to finish their projects. They're not going to cancel any projects on you, and they will finish their projects on time as well. They currently do have a project in Hamilton, and it meets all the fundamentals that I was talking about. It is located in an area with strong population growth. It's about 3 minutes to the GO train. There is a light rail transit system that's being built literally almost at the doorstep of the building. It's very close proximity to McMaster University and Mohawk College. And on top of that, they are high quality developers as well. So you will have people, students, renters that are wanting to move into these buildings. The incentives that they have on this project is providing you with a free 1 year maintenance. So your maintenance fees will be free for 1 year. They're also providing rental guarantees for 1 year as well. It ranges from studios up to 3 bedrooms, so the costs are different. The rental guarantees are different, and they are also providing credit and cash back on closing of $15,000 up to $20,000. This will essentially take care of most of your closing costs. At very least, offset most of it, if not take care of all of it. Now you have another builder here called Options for Homes. They are Canada's largest developer. They are Canada's largest developer, and they essentially exclusively build homes to make home ownership more affordable for end users. They've been in business for over 25 years, and they develop high quality condos around the GTA. They currently have a program called Options Ready Program, which will provide you with access to support a down payment support of up to 15%. That increases your total down payment and also lowers your costs as a homeowner. So just to give you an example here, as an example with Options for Home, on a house that's or a condo that is valued at $700,000, you will come up with 45,000, which is about 6%, and they will bring the 10% to help you with the down payment, which brings your total down payment to $115,000. Your mortgage balance at that point is $585,000. Now they do not require you to pay this back or pay interest on it as long as you're living in the home. So this program is only for end users, and it's not available to investors. If it was available to investors, they will be sold out within 24 hours. So this program is only available to end users, And as long as you're living in the home, you're not required to pay back the loan that they're providing to you. What they do is they essentially go as a second mortgage. So they're essentially an equity partner with you. When you decide to sell the home or move out of the home, in a few years, let's say your home value has increased to about $890,000. What they would require from you is 10% of the current market value at that time. So you would essentially need to pay them back $89,000. So that's how they get paid on the loan that they give you. They're essentially a silent partner until you decide to move or sell, and you essentially keep a lot of the equity as well, because you've paid down your mortgage, and you also get some of the appreciation from the unit. And this is another developer here that has that's building urban townhouses in downtown Brampton. With this program that they have for a short time, for a limited time, they only put in this program on only 90 units. You are not required to bring a deposit, so 0% deposit. It's essentially designed as a lease to own. So what it does is that you would lease the property, and also while you save up your down payment to be able to purchase the property down the line. The requirements for this program is you need to just have a household income of $120,000 and have a credit score of 600 or higher. So if you want more information on this, we can always connect offline after the presentation, or I can answer your questions during the questions and answer segment. So I just want to thank you very much for having me here today. It was a real pleasure. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those when it comes to the question and answer segment. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Folu Akindoni. Thank you so much for sharing that information. That's a lot of information in just barely half an hour of that information. There's a lot of questions from me already. And I'm sure we have a lot of folks in this event that have questions. And I would say you can put your questions in the chat room. One of the first questions that I got earlier was the market that you were talking about. Obviously, this is about Canada. They wanted to also find out if there was any information for the US, maybe. But that's just something to keep in mind, because we have a lot of guests from all over, US, Canada, and also maybe possibilities of investors coming from the US over to Canada. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of opportunity for you to have a one-on-one conversation with them. You will also need to share your contact details as we go along, so that way after the event they can possibly reach out to you to get more information. But that was a very good session, Folu. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. I'll drop my contact details in the chat as well.
Yes, that would be a good one. Thank you. So our next guest is a mortgage advisor. Is Paul Amusu. Paul Amusu is a seasoned financial expert with strong background in credit and structured lending. He's very passionate about real estate financing and related structured lending. Paul approaches clients' mortgage needs with a solution mindset and always willing to go the extra mile to provide the best possible service to his clients and realtor partners, because he works with realtors as well as clients. And Paul currently works as a mortgage advisor with CIBC Bank in Canada. So he will be sharing with us some of these mortgage possibilities that exist in the market and those that exist in his organization as well. So I'd like to welcome Paul Amusu to present to us today. Paul, stage is yours.
Hi, Shagun. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm always happy to be here. Thank you for hosting this session. I'm just going to load up my presentation. Give me 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Not just yet.
Not just yet? Okay. Just give me 1 second.
Yes, we see it now.
Perfect. Perfect. Let's put in presentation
Put it
mode.
yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. Oh, good morning still. Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul. Yet again, thank you so much, Folu, for that very informative presentation. There's so many things in there that I actually got away from. And of course, you bringing me back to it again, it brings up all those questions that I have in mind. So certainly I'm going to reach out to you as well. My name is Paul, mortgage advisor with CIBC. So my work essentially is to support what Folu has been talking about all day. So on my side, I am on the finances side of things where, you know, of course, you see the house you want to buy, or you see the real estate you want to acquire. Of course, you would need financing. So I'm the person to go to in this regard. So I will be sharing, you know, the solutions out there that you can actually tap into when it comes to securing that financing solution for your mortgage. So first and first, one of the things you want to do when you want to go into real estate is to really see what exactly you qualify for. There are two aspects of it. The first is called the mortgage pre-qualification. And then, of course, the other piece is the mortgage pre-approval. Now, there's a lot of times when this is always mixed up, but the whole essential purpose for doing either of these two is to really understand what you can afford. Now, the pre-qualification essentially just sort of like do a quick assessment of what you can potentially afford in the market without having to do any credit check, without having to do any background check on you. It's just word of mouth, and that could be done within 5 to 10 minutes, even if you're looking to explore some option or you're discussing with a realtor and you just want to have an idea of what exactly that conversation should be centered around. It's very important that you are looking at the right property. And of course, looking at your pre-qualification and doing this quick assessment will let you have an idea of the price point you should really be looking at. Now, the pre-approval in this case would be a thorough assessment where we look at your situation, we look at your finances, you know, we talk about your assets, your liabilities, and in most cases, we also pull your credit. And then once this is done, it goes through underwriting, like we're doing an application for a mortgage, but there's no property in play. It's essentially just going through the whole process without a property. Now, at the end of it, we issue you a certificate that tells you the amount you can afford in terms of purchase price, the mortgage, the rates, everything is essentially spelled out on the pre-approval. And then, of course, that pre-approval will be valid for 120 days. That's about 4 months altogether. In this time frame, it is expected that you go into the market and search for a property that is within that purchase price that we have stated on that certificate. Now, in some cases, you might find a property that is outside that price point or even below that price point. It's always good to reconnect if you're looking outside that price point, but if it's lower, of course, you can always put in an offer for that property. And then, of course, bring that document and sign agreement back to your mortgage specialist, and then they'll be able to move forward and complete the application into a mortgage for you. So, very important, either you do the two of them at some point, maybe you start off with a pre-qualification and you gently walk into a pre-approval, or you from the get-go, you go into a pre-qualification, have the conversation, and then have that at hand or in hand. And then, of course, when you're ready to go forward, then you can go in for pre-approval. Any realtor that you show a pre-approval to would know that you've been to the bank and will take you more serious. And in any transaction, the realtor wants to know if you've been to the bank to have a conversation, or more or less have yourself assessed to see what you can afford. There's a lot of programs out there, numerous programs, and I always say that there's always something that would fit the bill for you, depending on your situation. But you need to speak to a mortgage specialist, a mortgage. You need to speak to a mortgage advisor or specialist to really know, which of the program would be the best fit for you. Now, the insured standard mortgage is any mortgage below 20% down payment. Now, of course, if you do 20% and above, that's a conventional mortgage. But in this day and age where it's even hard to even save money, more or less have 20% down payment in other cases, insured standard mortgage usually would fit the bill. So like it's always 5 to 19.99%. Now, there's a default insurance that comes on a standard insured mortgage, and that's why it's called an insured mortgage. I'll get into more details as we go along with the presentation. The other one is the first-time home incentive program, which Folu elaborated on earlier. I'm just going to do a little bit more deep dive into that program, sort of to see, the things that you can actually take away from it. I more or less share the bottom line around that program. Importantly, of course, when Folu went over that incentive program, I could tell that most of the builders are actually using this program, but yet again, tailored in such a way it fits their own purpose, and of course, the client they're dealing with. But everybody comes out on top. That's, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. We also have the Newcomer to Canada program, essentially centered around any immigrant that just came into the country. Of course, who said you can't live your Canadian dream right from the get-go? But yet again, you need to speak to the right people to know and have that right information to make those moves that would put you into that environment where you are in your home within the first 5 years. We also have mortgages tailored for healthcare professionals. Even if you're a new graduate, you're in school, you also get to tap into the mortgage programs offered through the banks. And lastly, we have the high value programs tailored for high net worth clients. It's a very flexible program for high net worth clients because they have the resources, I would say, to be able to stretch some of the threshold to get qualified for a property or get qualified for an investment property. I will also touch on that as we go along. And lastly, mortgage option solution. There's always something for everybody in the market. Like I said, you just need to ask the right questions. More or less, I always say that there are 3 people you need to talk to. No matter the situation, you have to talk to your lawyer first. Even if you did whatever it is that you did, you need to tell your lawyer the truth so he knows how to defend you. So you need to talk to your lawyer. The second person is an accountant. Of course, you need to talk to your accountant so that they can help you with balancing your book. And the last person is your banker, of course. In this case, that would be me, a mortgage specialist, where there's always a solution for whatever your situation is. But I just need to understand what it is, and then I'll be able to put a solution in front of you. So let's go a little bit deeper and give a little bit of context to what I just mentioned. Insured mortgage essentially is anything between 5% and 19.99%. You must have a minimum score of 600. Your down payment is 5% at the minimum, depending on how much the property price is. You cannot buy a property of more than $1 million. So it has to be like $999,999. And then of course, your down payment, if you're buying any property above $500,000, you have to put 5% down first. And then the difference, so, say you're buying a house for $700,000, you do 5% of the first 500, the 200, you have to do 10% down payment to make a purchase. Now, You can buy 1 to 4 units in as much as you're living in one of those units. That's another opportunity right there. So 1 to 2 units, you could do 5%, right? Depending on how much the price of the house is. But of course, if you're doing 3 to 4 units, you have to do 10% in this case. And then of course, you have to occupy one of those units. If you do have if you buy a 4-unit apartment or 4-unit property, you can live in one, rent the other 3. The other 3 gives you cash flow. That can actually help you with your mortgage payment. And then lastly, closing costs. I cannot reemphasize this so much because it's very important. In as much as we are caught up in trying to buy that property, putting that down payment down to make that purchase, it's also important that we have the closing costs. We also have to confirm that the closing cost is available. Now, closing costs in this case would be maybe your lawyer fee, transfer, property, land transfer fee, title documents and all that fun stuff. 1.5% is usually the projection for closing costs. It might be more, it might be less, but that's the industry standard. The first-time home incentive program, I'm just going to sort of like flesh it out a little bit more. So like Folu said, started off in 2019. It was a program designed by the federal government to support first-time home buyers. As we know, the market essentially has gone, the prices has gone, crazy with, how we saw things prior to 2019. But having said that, the government is aware of what's going on in the market, and they decided to start this incentive program. Now, this program is tailored towards first-time home buyer. Now, there are other situations where you can actually benefit from this. One of those is if you purchase the house with your spouse or partner, and you're not living in that house for the last 4 years for some reason, then of course, you will qualify for this program. And then the other point would be situation where you probably break up with your partner and you've not been living in that house that you purchased for the last 4 years, then you will qualify for this program as well. So whatever the situation is, always talk to somebody, talk to a mortgage specialist about your situation. And of course, there's always a solution around it. You must have a proof of down payment, be it the 5% or 10%. Like I explained earlier, this is a cascading benchmark, which is the 5% for the first 500 and 10% for the remaining portion of it. Interestingly, you must have an income of $120,000 or less if you're trying to buy a house outside the Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria, which is BC. These are areas called the census metropolitan area. If you find a property outside this area, there are tools available. With your postal code, we can actually check to know if the house is inside the GTA or inside the census metropolitan area or outside. So you can also do this yourself. The information is out there, of course. If you go to a place to call home, the website, all this information is there. Now, of course, if you're looking to buy inside the metropolitan areas, then your income should be about $150,000 or less. A quick overview of the first-time home buyer incentive program, and this is just more like an example. So the Andersons are a perfect example in this case. The Andersons, their household income is about $100,000. They're living in Ottawa. They're looking at the property in Ottawa. Haven't checked out using the metropolitan area, right? And then they have a down payment of $5,000. Of course, that would equate to $40,000 for a $440,000 purchase price. They're also looking at, on the right-hand side, they're looking at the shared equity mortgage program, which would give them an extra 10%. On the left-hand side, they're going in by themselves. They're not tapping into the first-time incentive programs. They're just putting their own 5% down. So right off the bat, you can actually see the difference and the savings in the middle there. So purchase price 440, down payment on the left-hand side, which is without, is 40,000. And on the right-hand side, the 40,000 plus the 10% they applied for and they got, bringing their down payment to 84,000 together. The next line, you can tell right quickly that their mortgage amount, they're already less by $50,000. So the mortgage with the program would be 365 compared to 416. Interest cost over the year, over the term or amortization of that mortgage, they're already saving $25,000 on that plus change. And of course, as you know, this is a default insurance mortgage, high insured or high ratio mortgage. So there's an insurance premium that is capitalized on the mortgage. It's not going to come out of the pocket. It's going to be added to the mortgage, right? It's going to form what you would have at the end of the day in terms of mortgage. And off the bat, you can see that on the right with the program, it's 9,968. Without the program, it's 16,000 because you're already saving on that. Now, that saving rolls back to the mortgage amount. It's based on your mortgage amount. The amount of the mortgage will determine what that premium would be. So 4% of whatever the mortgage amount is would give you that number there. So lastly is the monthly payment, which is how we see if you can afford it, if you can afford the house you're looking to buy. On the right-hand side, you can quickly tell that, it's 1,847. On the other side, without the program, is 2,000. You're saving about $252 right off the get-go. So on our side, it helps us see that you can actually qualify for that mortgage very quickly because of the down payment that is higher than what it would be if you're doing just 5%. The program itself, how does it work? The program itself, how does it work? So the first thing you do is to go to your bank, talk to a mortgage specialist, a mortgage advisor, and of course, the mortgage advisor will be with the person to apply for this program for you to the bank. Of course, you will be working cohesively side by side with the mortgage advisor all through the program or process. Then there's a program administrator involved as well that is tied to the incentive program that the bank would also talk to. They will be in contact with you as well through the process. The bank would also reach out to the mortgage insurers because it's a default mortgage. It's a high ratio default mortgage. They would also be talking to them to provide that insurance premium and cover that high ratio mortgage. And then the solicitor as well will come into play at some point, because when the mortgage needs to close, everybody goes towards the solicitor or the closing service to ensure that, before the closing date, everything checks out. So this is just a snapshot of the process itself. Now, to the other programs, newcomer to Canada, if you are new to Canada, you're a permanent resident to Canada, you've been living in Canada for 5 years or less, you will qualify for this program. Literally, you have to, you must have started working, or you will be starting work in any time soon. With your employment letter, I can actually apply for a mortgage for you. But if you've been in that job for quite a bit, then, of course, I would need to see your income and all that other documentation in terms of your finances. We also need to verify your status. Importantly, we want to be sure that you are a newcomer and a Canadian permanent resident for that matter. You don't even need to have a Canadian credit history for this because, of course, you just got into Canada. We're not expecting you to have built any credit. But yet again, as you go along, if you are at the 5-year mark, probably you have some credit. Even if you don't, then we can still move forward regardless. It's not mandatory. Down payment, we have to show proof that your down payment is is in a Canadian bank, even if it's outside the country, we can start the process, and then of course, before the mortgage is advanced, the funds must be in a Canadian financial institution. We also have programs for non-permanent residents. Very importantly, you have to be working in Canada. You have to have Canadian employment and authorization to work in Canada. So in this case, you might have maybe a situation where a student and their spouse is with them, and of course they have Canadian authorization to work, maybe a temporary worker, for example. And while the partner is schooling, they are working, of course, and they will fall into this category. Of course, a little bit of credit history will be required. Minimum credit score is 600, of course, and then down payment minimum to start with is 10% down payment of whatever property they're looking to purchase. I would like to say thank you to the healthcare workers. If we have anybody on the call, we'll pause into this set of professionals. During this COVID-19, of course, we all know what happened in that time frame. But yet again, in that position, the bank and of course the society itself recognizes what they've done. We also have a program for them. So in as much as you are newly graduated, you're just about to graduate, you're still in school, but it has to be within the 3-year time frame that you've graduated. You will be able to qualify for a mortgage as well. You must be a resident of Canada. You must also hold a valid medical license if you finish school, of course. We have preferential interest rate for them. It's just a way of saying thank you. And, I will always say that, always speak to your advisor, your mortgage specialist around what rate you can get if you are an healthcare professional. It also comes with a lot of other things as well. Full service banking, discounted offers, a lot of things for get towards healthcare professional. I don't think this slide is enough for me to even put everything in there, but always speak to your mortgage specialist or speak to a financial advisor at the branch. They have a whole suite of banking tailored towards healthcare professionals. The High Value Program is one of the, I think, in quite a bit now, a very good program that I've seen for high net worth clients. So, of course, you must be a permanent resident, a Canadian citizen to be able to tap into this program. All you need to do is earn a modest income. But the bottom line is you must have a liquid asset of about $250,000, either in the US or Canada. Minimum credit score of 680, down payment is 20%. But the interesting thing about this program is it allows us to qualify you with a higher ratio. So as you would know, we have what we call the total debt service ratio, and then we have the gross debt service ratio. Under this program, you can actually exceed the benchmark, which is for TDS, it's about 44. And then for GDS is 39. Under this program, it allows you to go beyond that threshold because of course, the liquid asset you have, and then any other thing that would add value for you, maybe your real estate portfolio or anything of that nature. But importantly, we have to verify that liquid asset, and it just creates a leeway for you to be able to afford another property, maybe investment property, cottage, country home, a house by the lake, whatever it is that you want to do, because of that asset backing up this program. And then lastly, have something called the mortgage option solution. In this program, or more or less, it's a solution really for people that might not necessarily qualify for, normal mortgage done through an A lender. So take, for example, you go into a branch, you apply for a mortgage, for some reason you can't qualify, be it bad credit, be it low credit score, or anything in that regard. And the bank says, no, you can't, we can't give you a mortgage. But because you need this house, you find that a lot of times people will gravitate towards the B lender, or they gravitate towards a private lender and all that, other options available in the market. We actually do have something in-house that if we cannot qualify you through the conventional means, or for some reason other than, the fact that you cannot qualify based on your income or anything of that nature, we can actually refer you to our partners within the bank that can actually source for alternative lenders. Alternative lenders in this case would be a B lender, but it's all done through the financial institution. So they would find someone that will pick up your mortgage for you, even if you have bad credit, bankruptcy, whatever it is, whatever the situation is. They will go out, search for a lender that will pick up that deal for you. They can come back with 2, they could come back with 3, they could come back with 4 offers on the table, and then they'll bring that, present that to you, and then you have the option to choose the one you want to go with. The whole idea around this is so that we can actually find a solution for you, despite the fact that you cannot qualify with the bank at this time. It doesn't really mean that you cannot still bring your mortgage into the bank. So the bank would help you shop, and then you can go with that B lender in a year's time, when, of course, your situation might have changed, your credit history might have improved, or whatever the situation that has, allowed us to refer you might have changed at that time. Then we can actually bring you back into the bank, where we can offer you, a better product or a better interest rate. The whole idea is to give you that advice and support and get you into that house. So thank you so much. And I would just want to quickly say, Matthew 7:7, it says that, if you ask, it shall be given to you. If you seek, you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. I'm a strong believer of this Bible verse. It's done wonders for me. And that's the reason why I say that you need to speak to somebody, no matter what your situation is. Speak to somebody, speak to a mortgage specialist, speak to a mortgage advisor. There's always a solution for you. And if there's no solution, there's always a plan to get you on track that will lead you to a solution for that mortgage. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Paul and Musa, for that wealth of information. This is a lot to pack in. I'm sure we have a lot of questions from our viewers right now. There's so much to digest with that information. So we're getting to a Q&A session right now, based on the 2 presentations that we've had from Paul and Folu. So like I mentioned earlier, you can put your questions in the chat section if you have any questions right now. So please go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I'm sure there are lots of questions. In the meantime, I was going to ask Folu. So you mentioned about the program, and everything you said, it wasn't available to investors. Am I correct?
That's correct. So you're referring to options for homes.
That's correct.
Yeah. So it's definitely not available to investors, because it's very attractive. So investors would be all over it, right? So the developer, they've been doing this around Canada, really, because it's Canada's largest developer, and they have partnerships with another the development arm of Tridel, which is another big developer builder, and they have a partnership with CMHC, which is Canada Housing Mortgage Corporation, right? So they're trying to increase the chances of first-time home buyers being able to get into the market, right? So they're helping with the housing shortage as well at the same time. So, and you don't have to, when you get a second, I guess like a second loan, you don't have to worry about the interest on it as long as you're still in the home. So you can be rest assured and you can be confident that you don't have anyone knocking on your door asking for payments because they're just trying to help people get into the market, and you can essentially grow your wealth that way as well through ownership.
Right. So do you have an option to contribute towards the advanced down payment that they're giving to you? Because I see that they help contribute towards the down payment for you to purchase the home. Do you have a choice, sort of like the lease program, to sort of pay it over time, and then that way you don't owe them, or when you decide to sell the house, you might have finished paying it off?
That's a great question, and yes, and that's also what I would recommend as well, to try and pay that second that loan off as quickly as possible, because obviously the longer you wait, the more valuable your home is, right? And because they're taking the percentage of what they gave you on the current value at the time. So let's say within 5 years, you do a current home valuation, and whatever that amount is, you could pay it off, because the value in 10 years is of course going to be a lot different, right?
Right. So the bank can very much structure that loan at the beginning to have you just, put a certain portion of it towards that, knocking that down payment off, and without any interest whatsoever.
Correct. So you'll be able to, well, not without interest, because they're taking the percentage of the current value, right? At the time. So that's how they're getting their money.
Right. So I know you mentioned that at the end of it, when you sell it, they take 10% of that money.
Correct.
Yeah, but when you're putting it towards it, oh, I see what you're saying. So it will still be with some sort of interest when you're paying it, or when you're knocking it down. Like so say for example, you borrow 100,000,
yeah.
and you decided maybe 3 years down the line, you have that 100,000. Can you pay that 100,000 off without any form of interest?
Yeah. So what would happen in that 3 years? So let's say they gave you 100,000 and your home was the value at the time was let's say 600,000. Let's say, right? In 3 years, let's say the property is now what they'll do is take the current value at the time when you want to pay them out. So they'll send a home appraiser to appraise the home. And in that 3 years, let's say the value is now 700,000, right? Well, actually, we can't use 100,000 because that's essentially 10% of $1 million. So let's say 70,000 is 60,000. Sorry, is what they gave you at the time. And in 3 years, let's say it's now 700,000. So instead of so that 60,000 that they gave you, you'll be paying them 10% of 700,000, which is 70,000 that you'll be paying back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But I mean, it's a fantastic way of getting in for those that can't really get in right now. It helps with the qualification, because I believe there's still the stress test going on, and all of those other things that makes it really difficult for people to qualify to get in the first time, and every other thing that comes with it. And the down payment is always a huge part of what helps you towards purchasing that home. So if you have somebody giving you that money upfront with no pressure, and allowing you to have a stake in the market, and it's, like we always say, it's always better to at least own something. And like we mentioned it in our past events, that it's better to have something like, say you wanted to buy a single family home in the city and you couldn't afford it. And what you can afford is a townhouse or a condo. You should get it, even if you're not even going to live in the property, because at least you have a stake in building equity towards the future, whatever that situation is. But not having anything at all does not really help you to build any form of equity. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for home buyers. I don't know, I haven't heard any of those opportunities in the US, but I think this is I don't know if you've heard anything about the US market, because we have a lot of viewers from the US as well that will be interested, and also foreign buyers from outside of Canada. I know that Canada has a new rule right now of not allowing foreign buyers. I don't know what that is, but if you can shed more light into that.
Yes, absolutely. It's good that you brought that up, because a lot of my clients were impacted by that. At the end of 2022, they're trying to get here, before Christmas and buy something, and all of a sudden, Canada has this rule that as of January 1st, if you don't have your PR, you cannot. There's a ban for 2 years. So they did amend. The rules, so which is good. So foreign buyers, as long as they have their work permit and there is at least 6 months left on that work permit, they will be exempt and permitted to purchase a home. Before, it was you need to have your PR or citizenship, right? So it took out everyone with work permits. So they've amended it to say that if you have a work permit and 6 months or more is good on it, you can purchase a property in Canada.
So sorry, I'm just going to jump in there as well. So I have a situation where the client, the wife is a permanent resident in Canada here, and the husband is in another country. He's not a permanent resident. Is a citizen of another country, but he comes here on holiday. So he's the main breadwinner of the house. The wife isn't working. So in that regard, because one of them, is a Canadian resident, in this case, permanent resident, we can still use that income for that spouse. That's the husband who is outside the country. So just to buttress what you're saying, they would not fit the bill before, but because of that expansion, they are able to buy now.
Does he have a work permit?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Okay. But the fact that the wife is a citizen or permanent resident, as long as her name is on the property, they're able to buy, even though the husband is the ultimate breadwinner. That's correct.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good thing. At least they can use the income, the foreign income, to qualify to purchase. But the other question that I had was, so is the rule saying that even if you were going to pay cash for the house, and we're talking mortgages right now, even if you're going to pay cash for the house, a foreign buyer cannot buy?
So in this case, when you say foreign buyer, like Folo alluded to it earlier, foreign buyers are actually not exempted. They cannot buy within a certain area, right? They can buy outside, say, a remote area where, there's no, they're allowed to buy in a certain area. Let me put it that way. I think that's the easiest way to put it. They might not be able to get something where they desire, like inside the GTA, for example. But they always say, or rather the program itself says, before any foreign buyer should do anything, they should consult a lawyer first, right? Talk to your lawyer, let them understand what the rules are, let them understand, what they can buy, right? What they can afford, and then of course, be able to move forward with it. They cannot just come into the bank with their funds and say, okay, I have a house in say, for example, Burlington, that I want to buy. It's not going to happen. The program exempts that totally.
I see. All right, that's good to know that, they're not completely restricted from buying, from purchasing in Canada at all. I understand it's only for 2 years right now. It's going to be a 2-year period for now.
That's correct.
All right. Okay, that's good. All right. Thanks for the response to those questions. There's so much for those that are coming into the market. You know, for your first timers, I mean, this is excellent information to let you know that you can buy. And I always would say that you should buy. It's always a good thing to own your own property. And the market is not going to stay this way. It's going to change at some point. The interest rates are going to come down. I'm not going to promise you that it will come down to the record low rates that we've seen in the last couple of years, but at least it will come down to an affordable state. And at that point, you can possibly refinance if you wanted to. I mean, there are conditions around purchasing right now and refinancing. There are always conditions around it, which is why you should speak to a professional like Paul Amusu, who always guide you, give you the end-to-end for all the information that you need from purchasing that home. Because it doesn't end with when you purchase that home, because there's so many things that happen along the line. You can get to a point where you need to purchase your next home, and you need to draw equity from the existing home to the next home, because it doesn't stop with just buying your first home. And there's a growth pattern here that has to happen. And that's what real estate is all about. So these professionals are able to provide you with information upfront and look to the future, so that you're not just limited to what you can do now, but they always think ahead of time, letting you know what the future is and what you can do potentially for the future. But it's a beautiful opportunity that you can always get in right now. Does anybody have questions? I'm sure that there will be a lot of questions from this information. I'm really excited about this wealth of information, and Folu and Paul's information, they align together, and Paul, with all these programs and just, you know, shedding light and giving us all that information. But it's interesting you mentioned about $500,000 homes and $600,000 homes. I don't even know if those still exist. Probably know where you'd like to buy. I don't know. I know where in Toronto where that is, but I mean, Folu can tell us, because some of the things that Folu just displayed, he was showing $800,000, 0 down payment in townhouse in Brampton. That's what the market looks like. So let's be realistic about what the prices are in terms of, you know, I mean, things are going up to $1 million, over $1 million in most places. And the prices haven't really come down, like we all know. Just like you mentioned earlier, the prices have, you know, they've dropped, you know, a lot, but not to the point where people think that the market will crash. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about the market crashing and stuff like that. Now, that brings me to the point of, now we're talking about people that want to get in, people that are first-time buyers, and people that already have, they're trying to get in their second homes and stuff. Now, these programs that you mentioned today are second, if you buy, are you able to buy your second home with those programs? That's one. That's first question. And the second question is, are these the only opportunities that exist in the market right now? I mean, for those that are already that own the properties as we speak, because of the turbulent situation of the market, because of how difficult things are in the market, how do you get out of this situation when things are hard? For example, it's hard for you to make payments, and Paul can tell us about interest rates. We know we have variable rates and fixed rates. A lot of people going into the market with really low rates, using variable rates, like as low as 1% mortgage rates. And now that interest rates have gone up, how are you able to balance the situation right now? Because your payments have gone beyond what you anticipated. How are you able to make the payments? And if things are difficult, how do you balance that out? Do you talk to the bank? Do you talk to your mortgage advisor? You know, these are all questions that I believe that, you know, a lot of us are concerned about. How do we swim in these turbulent waters? It's turbulent right now. And how we swim in these turbulent waters will help us to be able to just float when the market is right, if you know what I'm saying.
So yeah, that's a very good reference you made, just talking about the turbulence in the market, what's going on out there and all that. So simple solution that comes to mind, just listening to, your question is, take, for example, you are even able to come up with a down payment of 5%, right? This program would give you an extra 5 to 10%, which you can add to your down payment. You buy a house where, maybe it's a 2-unit house, right? So, a 2-unit house is a house that has a separate entrance to the basement or has a separate entrance to another unit. So you stay in one and then you rent the other one. So be it 3 or 4 units as well, where we're beginning to see a little bit of that in the market as well. You can sort of like rent out those 2, 3 other units, you stay in one, and then use the rental from those to augment your monthly payment. It's a very, very good way, to get into the market. It's not, I always say that the first house, in this case, with what's going on in the market, should not really be your forever home. It should really be your stepping stone, right, to your forever home. Because of the interest rates are just overly high right now. Houses are, top dollar. You got to come in with top dollar to actually be able to afford anything right now. So you need to come in with a strategy. And, my advice to most clients is come in with the mindset that you're getting to the real estate and this is your stepping stone to your forever home. So if you start with a house that has 4 units, you can rent out the other 3 units. You start with a house that has 2 units, you can rent out 1 unit. And house rent right now is commensurable to what's going on in the market. So it's also high. So you can use that to augment what your monthly payment is. It gives you a little bit of breathing room. It also gives you that ability to buy property where, like Felu mentioned, somewhere that is closer to like Starbucks, shops and prime location where you know that the value of the property will rise pretty much very quickly. But you have to talk to either your realtor, like for example, the bank, like mortgage advisor specialist like myself, and just go in with an open mind to not just only share your plans, but yet again, be able to take advice from, what would be shared with you as well.
Right. Okay. So thank you for that response. On the other part of my question also was talking about the variable rates based on low interest rates versus fixed rates. How do you advise people going forward? And now that the variable rates are impacting those that got the low rates, and when the mortgage rate started going up, is affecting them and it's impacting their ability to pay their mortgages. And what can you do if you had a client that you got a mortgage at the time when the rates were low and went on variable, and now they're having difficulties in making payments? What do you recommend? How do you support them? Like, what do you advise going forward in the future?
Yeah, so interest rate has gone up in response to inflation that Folu mentioned earlier, right? Interest rates, we keep, it's last 2 announcements has kept it at bay. It doesn't mean that the next one will go up. Same thing doesn't mean that the next announcement will not make it go down. But really, it's a lagging indicator, right? So when it shoots interest rate, they have to wait 3 months to really tell what if the move has actually done what they want. So if you have a client who is in a variable rate, maybe took a variable rate for 1 point something way back in the day when interest rate was low, and it's coming to maturity renewal at this point where interest rate is high. It boils down to cash flow, right? Variable rate right now is even higher, much higher than the fixed rate. So you have to take the lesser of the two, right? So fixed rate will be the ideal thing for you to just lock it in, maybe for a short term, instead of going the long term, because we are thinking or envisaging that in a very short while, the market would recoup itself and then interest rate will go down. And then you want to position yourself for that next decrease in interest rate so that your mortgage is maturing into a lower rate environment. But having said that, everything boils down to cash flow. If you have the cash flow to maintain your interest rate at the variable rate, yeah, please, it's more like staking your rate, right? You're playing the game of, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? If it's going to go down, I'm going to take the benefit of the variable rate. If you're going in today, you probably will be qualifying on a higher interest rate if you're going with variable rate. So you might not be able to qualify depending on what your cash flow is. Variable rate is topping 6% already. All right. So if you do the stress test, like we mentioned, it might not put you where you want to be. So we go with the lesser rate on the fixed side. So fixed will be the way to go for you at this point. People coming in with the variable rate, if they can afford to qualify for that, yeah, it's still going in with some form of risk that interest rate will go down or go up. But if it's going to go up, you want to have that cash flow. If you are one of those that enjoy that low interest rate, a period, and you're struggling today to keep things afloat, you have two options. Either you lock the mortgage up into a fixed rate and get a lesser rate for a shorter term, or you have to look at the property itself and say, okay, is it possible for me to turn this into another unit where I can rent out the basement, right? Or rent out some part of the units and be able to increase my cash flow and then sort of like weather this storm out. But I would say that right now, compared to the variable rate, fixed rate are lower. If you have anything right now that you're struggling with and then you're still on variable rate, and you think that it's affordable to lock it for now for a shorter term, because if you're on variable, that means you're a risk taker. You're still staking that rate that the outlook would reverse itself. So you need to have some cash flow for that. If you're not a risk taker, just stay with the fix, write it out, and if the terrain changes, then you can go back in.
All right, thank you, Paul, for that information. That was very informative. I see the Reverend Chuksokoye has a question. I see his hands raised. You can also raise your hand if you have a question, so that we can you can go ahead. Reverend, you can unmute and go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys for those excellent and useful information. I don't know where to start. I'm just thinking that when Folu presented those possibilities in terms of the new opportunities developers are coming up with and new strategy they're adopting, I think he was too fast on that, and it would be good if he can actually revisit it, because I see those as an opportunity for the first-time buyers and all those, especially those where there are no deposits and those lease-to-own kind of arrangement. If you can just gloss through it, how it works in practice, because those practical approach I find very useful, and perhaps Fulu will deal with that. And Paul, I thank you a lot for those practical information, figures and things that directly deal with every move, every situation you're going to have to go through if you really want to buy anything. And I'm glad you put your information on there. I don't think Fulu has put his information on the chat unless I missed that. But on the side of the mortgage, there's something you said about the high net worth people and the opportunities that they have in terms of if they have assets that is up to 250 in US or in Canada. Is this, are you talking of assets in terms of property with the equity of that, or cash of some sort lying somewhere? If you can throw more light on how that works, either Fulu or Paul can go first. Thank you, guys.
I think I'll go first so that Fulu can actually spend more time on that piece around the first-time home buyer. So the high value program is a very, very interesting program that I find tailored towards high net worth individuals. It allows you a little bit more flexibility to afford an extra house, or better still, buy a house and, by the lake, maybe a cottage, it might be even an investment property, right, that you want to buy. But the key thing about it, like I mentioned, is the proof of that liquid asset of up to $250,000. It has to be in cash, not locked into an asset, or better still, locked into an appreciation for in some of your investments. So in this case, it's liquid cash. Now it could be inside, say, RSP, for example, because nobody's going to leave cash in an account not earning anything, right? But it's easily convertible, right? So maybe RSPs, maybe you have it in GICs, maybe you have it in, some type of, vehicle that, it's easily convertible to cash. So, but real estate, locking it, say more or less having 250,000 equity locked in your property based on the difference between the value today and, what you bought it for, it would not count in this regard.
Right. So it's correct too that your down payment when you bought it may not count too.
So no, so it's not talking about equity locked in a house. It's talking about something more outside your property.
Thank you very much. I get it.
Yes, so I'll take it from here. So when it comes to the incentives that developers are starting to provide to end users or investors in order to help them with the deposits, some developers they have reduced the deposit structures. So generally, you'll see a lot of developers that would ask for 20% down over a certain period. On average, is about, let's say, 6 months to a year, right? So what some developers have done to help out on the down payment side of things is they've asked for maybe like 15% down or 10% down, and they've stretched the timeline to about 18 months to even 2 years. Another thing that they've also been doing is adding more incentives. Like, for example, if you're purchasing a condo with the developer that I had in the example, Emblem Developments, that has the property that's being built in Hamilton near McMaster University, Mohawk, and near GO train station. They are going to essentially waive the maintenance fees for 1 full year. And then they're also providing rental guarantees. Again, because rental market is quite strong, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to continue getting stronger because of the very aggressive immigration plan that Canada has of 1.5 million people by 2025. And we don't have nearly enough homes for the people we currently have now. So there's a very good chance that rental will continue to increase. So they're confident enough to be able to provide rental guarantees from studios to all the way up to 3 bedrooms. Right now for a studio, about 400 square feet, 430 square feet, they're guaranteeing $1,900 rent per month. And for 3 bedrooms, they're guaranteeing $3,300 per month. And this is also Hamilton, a growing area in Hamilton. And on top of that, they're providing credit or even a cash back. So what that means is when you close, on the day you close, this particular project will be closed in 2026. So more than likely, things could change by then, but you've already locked in getting cash back on a property you bought 3 years ago of anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. So this is going to help you in offsetting your closing costs, which Paul was talking about earlier, to keep in mind that you will have closing costs when you purchase a property. So $15,000 to $20,000 is huge, because you have your land transfer tax, so that will take care of that. And you also have some development caps, some development charges, which will essentially now be, it will cover that as well. So you have most, if not all, of your cost when you close, but that will be taken care of. The other developer that I had mentioned, they have an urban townhouse development in Brampton. So they're offering right now on 90 of their units, 0% deposit. So the way they've structured that is for you would essentially go into a lease to own agreement with them. So when you sign the contract, you're not going to bring any funds up front. You're going to essentially rent the property while it gives you time to save your down payment over a period of time. So you're just essentially going to be paying rent, and a portion of that rent will be going into a savings account to build up your down payment. So when it comes time for you to now take ownership of a property that you're already living in anyways, you'll already have that down payment built up to make it easier for you to now put a down payment and get the mortgage, and then get the ownership of the property and become a homeowner. That's how that would work. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else there. If I did, please let me know.
While you're doing that, just because you said they're offering this now, are these properties built, or are they going to be built? The lease to own arrangement, are they existing units, or are they something that will come in future?
It's pre-construction, so they're not built yet. They will be built.
So when you have this arrangement with them, it will be like you signing paper, you haven't put down any deposit.
Correct.
And
Correct.
then they take 3 years to build this place. When they've built it, so what happens when they've built it? What are they going to expect from you?
So during the interim occupancy, you would enter into a lease to own agreement with them. So you would be paying rent, and a portion of that rent would also be building your down payment. But because it's pre-construction, it's advisable that you also have a plan to start saving as well, so that you can get to that point a lot faster, right? And the requirements that they have is for the household income to be $120,000 a year and a credit score of 600 and up. They do have what I would do if anyone wants more in-depth information about that is I will connect them with the program coordinators themselves, so that they can essentially go into further details. Or I can even schedule, depending on how many people want that information, schedule a time for everyone to meet to do a Zoom call with them as well.
Thank you. You guys heard it. If you want to know more on that, speak to him. Don't speak to me.
No, it's a great program. Like all these programs, just like what Shegun and Paul was mentioning, like the market changes all the time, and whatever the situation is at that time, you have to essentially have to jump on that opportunity at that time, because it's not going to those opportunities will not stay forever. For example, once the developers are providing incentives and cashbacks, that's not normal for developers to do that, because once the market starts heating up again, just as it was earlier last year in 2021, they were just selling in-house because there was no need to provide incentives. So just imagine that you've already signed a document today. If you're putting a deposit, you put a deposit now. Your 100,000 or whatever the amount is today is going to be worth less in 3, 4, 5 years. So you're essentially, but you'll be able to control a product that is appreciating in the future with the past money, right?
Right.
So it's a great idea to take advantage of those programs, or to at least ask and inquire about it and create a plan. And let's create a plan with you to be able to get you to that point. Because once these programs are gone, who knows when it's going to be coming back.
Right. To add to what Folu is saying, like, I think it's an amazing opportunity to have a zero down payment. I mean, like, I wouldn't say I haven't heard of that before. That existed like maybe almost about 18 years ago,
Yeah, almost 20 years, absolutely.
That used to exist, and they scrapped it. But an interesting twist to this is if the houses are going to be built maybe in 2 years' time, I'll take it that a lot of these developers will take a couple of years to build the houses, and you're interested in buying and you don't have a down payment. I don't know if they have any structure, even though it's zero down payment, somehow the lease to own program would also get your payments to pay towards that down payment over time. So it allows you an opportunity to start to put some money down towards that payment, so that at the time of closing, whatever amount you're able to bring to the table, even though if it's zero down, it would also help towards closing that property. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, and I'm going to go back to my own experience when we bought our first home, about 18, 19 years ago, when we bought the first house. We had income. We had just moved to a different city. That was in Vancouver. And we didn't have any down payment. But I met up with this developer who was building, and I, talked to them and I said, look, we have the income, but we don't have the down payment. And the houses were being built, and it was going to take about 6 months to complete it. So we negotiated a term, and every month we paid a certain amount towards that down payment, so much that we had enough by the time the house was about to close. We had our down payment to close on the house. And that was amazing for that builder at the time. But this is what builders would do when they're looking for you, when they're looking to sell their properties. When they're looking to sell, they'll bring out all these incentives that will help you to purchase. But the minute the market changes, you're not even going to hear of anything like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why when the opportunity is right now, take advantage of it. Because like Folu just said, you're using old money for new a couple of years down the road. So I would say for people that don't own homes right now, it's not impossible for you to own. That these programs that are out there, just look into it, talk to these professionals, talk to Folu, talk to Paul, and you're on your way to becoming a homeowner. It doesn't get any better than that. And I haven't looked back since that first purchase. It was such an amazing way to get into home ownership. So I hope that makes a difference, and it makes any sense. I see here a question. It's an amazing opportunity, but what if you don't earn 120,000 as per the eligibility? Paul, Fulu, who wants
Yeah,
to
I
ask?
just saw that right now. I was replying. I would say, reach out to me, because what I would do is I will get you in contact with the people who put the programs together, that's currently working with that developer, because they'll be able to go more in depth, because they also have people who are not able to get there. They will also help you create a plan, right? So they'll sit down with you as well. They'll have a conversation, create a plan to help you be able to take advantage of that opportunity. So everybody's different. So let's connect, and we'll be able to explore that option and see how we can get you to take advantage of that program. I'm going to drop my my contact information again, just in case. There you go. So you can just reach out to me, and I'll connect you.
And the other aspect of not knowing if you even are able to qualify with that income, there's so many other things that can add to income for you, and you don't know. There are other ways. Maybe you have a side gig going on, or something, or side business, or you never know the things that will help you. That's why it's good to speak with the professionals. Mr. Paul will be able to guide you on that. And like Kolu just said, and Paul did say at the beginning, it's important to talk to this professional, talk to an accountant, talk to a lawyer, talk to a mortgage professional, mortgage advisor, talk to a real estate agent. These are all the people that have the information that you need, that will help you, provide you with that. Not making assumptions and just sitting back and just thinking that, oh, okay, I'm not going to qualify. That doesn't help you. Talk to them and find out. You might qualify. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just addressing that question. Of course, it's really hard to come up with 120,000 in end income in a year, depending on, everybody's situation is different, right? But to what you said, it's a plan in motion, right? So you can have a side gig, right, that can put your notice of assessment for next year filing at 120,000. Because you already have a direction to what you want to do, you can start putting a plan together today. So, this is the beginning of 2023. These opportunities are there. The market is going to be the way it is, right? So you want to know what you can do today. So if your income is, say, maybe $50,000, for example, or 60,000, just to be very conservative, you should now start thinking as to what else can I do, side gig, multiple, or one that can give me at least close to 120 or something like that, or whatever the program would allow you to have. But you need to talk to somebody first. Speak to the builder, or speak to Folu to, connect you, or more or less give you that information. They can sit down, craft a plan for you. Then you can take that plan and then get to work with it and say, okay, if I reasonably can do, say, an extra 20,000 to the 60,000 I earn, that will put me at 80,000. Then the question now becomes, would this program allow me with an 80,000 income, right? So once you have that information, then you know that you need to do a side gig that will give you that extra 20 grand to get you into this program. So solution mindset it's where I come from, right? So for every problem, there's a solution. And the more you speak to it with people that are doing this every day, they've come across different things, right? They can actually even give you ideas as to how you can do this. And of course, like you rightly pointed out, everybody's situation is different. Talk to somebody, talk to a professional, get in the thick of things. Don't stay back. Don't shy away from your situation. We can always do something with whatever you bring to the table.
Thank you, Paul. One more thing. Another thing everybody needs to understand is it's not just one person's income. It's household income. So it could be you and your spouse. It could be you and your son or your daughter or anybody that lives with you, or even somebody that doesn't live with you can combine and purchase a home together. Just like the examples that Folu gave earlier, you can have multiple people purchasing a house. So it's just for you to get your stake in it. That being said, we've run out of time right now, and if you have any further questions, you can always reach out to Folu and Paul. We have all the information that has been the personal information, the phone numbers, the email address in the chat. So I want you guys to look into the chat and copy it before we end the session. And I believe this session is also being captured and recorded, and I'm sure it's going to go on YouTube, so you can also go and revisit it and watch it again, and share it with your friends and family as well. And then that you never know who this could bless. So that being said, we're going to be before we end the session. Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the program, that the education committee comes up with various events, and we've done a few events in the past. We've had a career day where we had members of the church who had different businesses and career come out and talk about their career, their businesses, and what they do, so that we can, as members of the church, patronize them or refer them, as the case may be. And we also had an event on how to start your own business. We had it was a three-part session on that event. Just letting people know that, hey, there are opportunities out there. You can start your own business, and you can start to grow your business and earn. So we talked about it. We talked about various opportunities as well, and franchise and a lot of other opportunities. So we continue to elevate and move to the next level in supporting members of the church and new members that are coming through as well. This is what we do. So we're having a next event. We haven't set the date yet. We're going to be sharing that information with you as we go. This is an event that talks about building a strong financial foundation. In everything that we talked about, without a strong financial foundation, you cannot do a lot of these things, and how to get out of debt sooner. Where this event is going to speak to you on how to do that, and also how to retire soon and build wealth. Building wealth is part of what we're talking about, real estate investments, and also building wealth, not for yourself now, but for the future and next generation, because anything that you're doing now, you're just going to pass through. So what are you going to leave behind? What is the next generation going to, have from you and build up on for their own next generation? And also how to use the tax information, because there's so many tax opportunities that exist, but a lot of us don't know about it. How to write off a lot of expenses. In this type of business that you're doing, there's a lot of tax involved. So how can you write off those taxes? And the differences in Canada and in the US. But this event is going to help us. We'll speak to that information and guide us. It's going to be a one session. We are going to have Mr. Chineku Ibiabuchi, who's going to come and speak to us on that. We're going to be sharing the dates and letting you guys know when we'll have it. And it's going to be an exciting event. This is a professional, he's a financial professional who is very well knowledgeable about what he does, and he's been doing it for many years. So that being said, I'd like to thank you all for contributing and being part of this session. I hope you guys have taken something out of this. I hope it's going to bless you. It's going to benefit you, your family, your friends, and we hope to continue to bring you a lot of these events, as we said. And that being said, I'm going to invite Pastor Shade Ahigbe to come and give us a closing prayer, and we can end the session. Thank you. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't see my message. Pastor Shade may be indisposed, so I'm going to take the closing prayer. I sent you a message, but it looks like you haven't seen it.
I'm just seeing it now.
Yeah, so it's okay. I will take care of the closing prayer, but before then, I want to say thank you to all of you. I want to thank you, Shegu, for all you do, for coordinating this, and your passion to train people and get them improve in where they are, and then improve their life, and then the life of the people around them. One thing I would like to reiterate for people listening is what Paul continues to say. He continues to say, talk to people, talk to people. You may not understand what that means. I want to put it in another form so that those who don't get it will get it. You see, if you've been a hunter before, you will know that if you want to shoot down the antelope, you have to hide. You don't stretch the arrow in front of the antelope, the bow and the arrow in front of the antelope. You will just realize how fast the antelope can run if you do that. And that leaves you with no chance to shoot down that antelope. So when he's saying talk to people, he's the money man. They know there are conversations that cannot be discussed in the training. And that way, if you go talk to people, you will realize that much as you're thinking is daunting and challenging and impossible, there are other ways this can be made possible, but that's not for public consumption. Just talk to people. Folu is the man who finds you the deal, the best thing you need to buy. Talk to him, talk to Paul, talk to people in their profession. The truth is that there are more you're going to find out. I know you asked a question about if you don't earn 120. The only thing I will say to you is talk to people. Talk to people. There are always ways. The maxim of law will say, ibigis ibi remedium. Whatever has a cause has a remedy. And Paul made it clear, I work from the result-oriented perspective, solving problems. I believe this can help us start to take that step we need, because that's the key. That's the key. Don't sit down and tell yourself it's not possible, because that is what has crippled many people and caused you to lose the opportunity that are out there. Just step out and begin to ask questions. Just like Shegu described, he has to go ahead to go and meet the developer when he has no money to pay, and he end up buying the house. That's what it takes. Get up and talk to people. Start revolting against where you are. Start pulling it and say, no way, I'm not going to be here anymore. I need to do more. I need to step into this property thing. I need to know more. I need to speak to somebody. We've given you people here to speak to. By God's grace, you will cash into this opportunity and it will pay off. And I want to hear your testimonies that you've bought your next property or your first property, because there are obviously avenues to do them. And I want to continually thank all of you for this information. It's benefited me too, I will say, and I'm sure it's benefited Shegu as well. I can see some question he's asking. I say, this man, this question is like he's dealing with personal things. Navigating himself now into personal solution, which could be personal solution for all of us too. Because that question about interest rate going up if you bought when it was low. I know some of us bought when it was low. I thought he was speaking the mind of everybody to know if the bank has a deal now to say, okay, don't faint, don't collapse, come, let's give you holiday or give you suspension of your mortgage for 6 months, see if you will recoup. I know there are those sort of things, but you got to talk to somebody. Go and talk to people. Everything can be worked out. Talk to people. Don't just think you cannot go ahead. Talk to people. Walk in that bank, call the advisor and say, look, I can't do this anymore. The moment they start seeing that you're about to collapse or to give up, they start calling you to a meeting and begin to talk about you. So you got to talk to people. Don't keep silent and think, oh, I'm doomed. You're not doomed. You're just not talking to people. Just get out there and talk to somebody. Go ahead. He's there. Solutions are waiting. You'll be surprised how high you can fly if you start flying. Just spread your wing and see it's possible. Go out. Don't continue to imagine that there is lion and lionesses all over your terrain and you can't step out. They don't exist. These guys are here to tell you they don't exist. It's in the mind. So talk to people. You can make it, and the Lord is there waiting for you to take that step, because he's keen to bless the step we take. And I want to pray that many more people will rise into action and take those steps and talk to people, and that the Lord shall bless that step beyond their imagination. I'm not telling you something I've not been part of. I've been part of this journey. And I can tell you, when I rose to talk to people with empty hand and empty pocket, we went and talked to people and things happened. We did not know these opportunities were there until we start talking to people. When we were about to buy the place of worship, we have no dime in the pocket. We didn't know things were possible until we said, no way, we're going to go ahead. We're going to buy somewhere. I remember Sheikh in one of the meetings said, how much do we have in the accounts? I said, forget that one. Let's keep praying and find a way to do it. And to God's glory, we started talking to people, and we found things that we didn't know are possible. And before we knew it, we were getting 2 lenders offering us facility. And we're now making a choice from having nothing to having those opportunities. There are things that are possible only if you're willing to take the step and talk to people. I want to pray that everything that hinders us shall give way, so that we can rise, connect to one another, ask questions, and get to know. Some of the things Folu shared here today, this guy talks to me and said, how are you? Never told me any of these things. And some of them are some of them were like, what? This guy has this type of information. He never told me anything. But never mind, thanks to the training. Now I know I'm going to come after you too. And Paul is being elusive, but you're no more elusive. I'm coming after you personally too. So now, guys, go after these people and get them to get you what you want. I thank God for you guys and for what you got to offer. Glory be to God. Let us say a prayer. In Jesus' name. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to have this conference and for the guidance you use to make it possible. I start to thank you from the coordinator of this project, Shegu, who had stepped out to get this going, and for Folu and Paul. Lord, to you be all the glory, for they have impacted us with information that I know will take us to the next level. I'm sure it will do. All we need to do now is to speak to people, to step out. Help, oh Lord, that every such thing that has constituted hindrance and stopping us taking steps shall be removed, oh Lord, that we shall know how big you are and not continue to make you small in our life. Help us, oh Lord, to rise beyond our imagination. Even if our brain is saying there's no way, it's not possible. Help us, Lord, to step out and ask people and speak to people. And let, oh Lord, the time of grace abound and favor locating us, that as we do just that, you will open doors that we never imagined is possible. You will make real things we thought was elusive, things we thought is only in the dream. Lord, we thank you, oh Lord, for we know that in this season, you're about to start preparing people, stir our mind, oh Lord, to be uncomfortable with where we are so that we can go to the next level. Help us to understand that if we have to walk on water, we have to leave our comfort zone. We have to step out of the boat to do that. May we, oh Lord, in view of this information we've amassed, understand that it is possible for us to buy that next house, that new house. May you, oh Lord, make a way when we set out to pursue it. Lord, take all the glory for this day. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you very much. God bless you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Folu. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Guys.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Have a good evening. Rest of the weekend. All right. Take care.